So this is what happens, or I guess should happen, when you get a couple bad oil samples. I started doing oil samples again. This is Fred from RV Maintenance and Mechanical Things. After I got the motorhome there, and I was pretty sure the maintenance wasn't kept up on it, so I did some oil samples on my pickup truck. This motor's only got 30,000 miles on it. It's a 355, basically 350 board 30 over blueprinted balance. It's got Board X stage 2 heads on it, and Sportsman's roller rockers. Got Excel air gap intake. And what we were finding is the oil samples were coming back with antifreeze, lead, copper, aluminum, iron, in the samples, higher levels than what's acceptable. And found an antifreeze leak at the back of the intake, so I tightened that up, did a sample on it again, and it was better, but still not perfect, so we tore it down, and there's what you got. Looks pretty good. Still got cross hatching in the cylinder. We're going to clean it up, put another set of gaskets in it, put it back together. But all we could find is it looked like the head on this side wasn't torqued completely. So you can buy what they call a two-stage head gasket, and then you torque it down in 2 stages to get the proper crush. So what might have happened is it only got torqued once. And pretty sure this is going to do it. We'll put it back together and do another oil sample and see what it says. Around 1,000 miles, but so when you get a bad oil sample, let the fun begin. Give you the update. We're going to take the heads to machine shop, have them leak tested, make sure that they're okay. Everything looks okay. Everything looks like it's in great shape. So more later. Well, just a little bit of an update. I don't know if they didn't take pictures of this while I was taking it apart, but there is a 355 Chevy. It's a 350 board 30 over blueprinted balance. It's in the pumpkin truck here, and got bad oil samples 2 in a row. Said antifreeze was in it, and some metal. So I'll put some pictures in of the heads. The Brodex heads, and I actually still have them. They're over at the machine shop waiting for them to come back. And for some reason the valve shims wore. They're not supposed to. They're supposed to be hardened. So mystery. And then push rods were ever so slightly. A couple of them had little bends in them, so we got push rods for it. I can buy a new set of heads for what it's cost me to have these rebuilt, but they're getting rebuilt. Replacing all the exhaust valves, and the valve guides were sloppy. You could see where it was sucking up oil, and the oil pressure gauge would fluctuate on me every once in a while, and I don't know if it's electrical or not. So I installed an oil pressure gauge down there. So now I have 2 oil pressures, 2 water temperatures, and 2 voltage readouts, and 2 tacks. But this tack only goes to $5,000, so it doesn't do me much good since the motor goes to 6. It's got a TCI programmable shift module in it for the transmission. I got another thing I've done recently is I put in front and rear cameras. That's the rear camera there. I didn't take it all the way out to the bumper. And there's the front camera. I don't know how well you can see that in the sunshine. And I got some other tricks I'm going to do to it since it's been sitting around for 2 weeks. We'll keep you posted. Thanks for watching. Who do you know wants to buy an orange truck? So I always forget to take videos when I'm in the throes of putting something back together, taking it apart. I guess part of it's because I don't have an extra set of hands. So anyway, almost finished up. Just gotta put these wires in a loom and had the heads off. Brodex RR180s. If any of you guys are familiar with them, they're supposed to be a really good head, but I had 30,000 miles on them. Got bad oil samples saying that I had metal and antifreeze and oil, so took them apart. Cost as much to have them rebuilt. Had 6 new exhaust valves, all push rods. They said the valve seats, or shims rather, were soft, so that's probably where the metal came from. So anyway, cost $1,020 to rebuild them. Now I'm just putting it all back together. I think I got video when I had it apart, and just about finished up. I guess I can show you some of the parts. They said all the exhaust valves were, you know, you see that? So I don't know if you consider that bent. They weren't seating right, and the valve guides were loose. Trucks always had what I would consider high oil consumption, but I just attribute that to the fact that it's a performance engine and maybe built a little looser to take the revs. So you can see the staining. See this one here? Spring wore all the way through that. I don't know if they bent these pulling them apart, but that one's bent. You can see all the springs cut into the shims, and then these are the underlying shims that were under the springs. So now Brodex said they don't even have non-hardened shims in the factory, so don't ask me how this crap got in here, other than maybe the builder that I used had, you know, junk sitting around the shop and some inexperienced person turned loose on it. I don't know, you know, bought a bare set of heads, had springs in that, just threw a set of heads together. I don't know. You know, truck was running good, but had a bad oil sample. Used Blackstone Labs, and I got an RV, which on RV maintenance and mechanical things, you can see the work I've done on that, and that's what got me pulling the oil samples to check that out. Wasn't expecting this to be bad. We have a Sonata we've had since it had 5,000 miles on it with 137,000. They said it's the best oil sample they've seen. It's a 3.3. So just about ready to fire it up, and then I'm gonna probably take it to the dyno, because last year it was $2,000 that I put in it to replace the computer to a fast and remove the Excel, and now I got 36-pound injectors like it should have had to begin with. Now fresh rebuild on the cylinder heads. So stay tuned for the next cartoon. Oh, push rod's 90 bucks. Besides having the heads done, the wires, last year I wrapped the headers because I was seeing some heat damage. I've had the truck for 13 years, actually going on 14. So I don't know, not a lot of miles. 30,000 since I put the motor in it, but $90 set of plug wires. They were shot too, so getting it back together. So one of my problems is I always forget to keep filming to show everybody how things went. When I got the motor together, started up, I had a bad squeal, thought it was alternator bearing. Then we thought it was pulley, and we thought it was a pulley. They got 100,000 miles on them, so I replaced them anyway. But turns out we sprayed soapy water on the belt that I use for checking for leaks, because this is an air ride, and it was the belt. I had an old belt, put it on, squeal went away. So another 30 bucks, bought a belt. Don't ask me why the other one decided to start squealing, but as you can see, it's together. And as you can hear, it's sounding pretty good.